Hello, sir.
Hi. Good to have you here again. Hi.
Same here. I'm
How's
very well,
everything?
thank you. Yeah, it's been good. It's
Okay.
been good.
How's the family?
We thank God.
How's the
Everyone
lady?
is fine. Yeah, she's upstairs running up and down already.
Abio. Thanks
Hello,
for
Relua. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening, everyone.
Good
Hi. All
evening.
right.
Good evening. So we are live now. Good evening, everyone watching online. I can see we have about 14 participants online. It's good to have everyone here. So I'll just introduce the two people we have on the call today. That's Mr. Michael Oladejo and Mr. Stephen Owolabi. So Mr. Oladejo is the host, and Mr. Stephen is our speaker. Happy to have you both on board.
Thank you.
Thank
Happy to be
thank you
here.
very much.
So over to you, Mr. Oladejo. Mr. Michael.
Thank you. The network is frozen.
Oh yes, yes. Let's just give you a few minutes or seconds rather.
Okay.
Okay, welcome back, Mr. Jide.
Thank you very much. I was just asking if we should give just one more minute for people to join, or do you think we should just make a start?
Okay, we could give a minute. We have 16 participants online at the moment.
Okay.
Yes.
I think we should actually make a start. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. Today we have Mr. Stephen Owolabi here. I recently got to meet Mr. or to know Mr. Stephen based on his something God we I do I put it. I got to see a lot of his comments on LinkedIn and more of participation on most of the posts that has to do with financial services and risk management. And from the wealth of, immediately I realized that Mr. Steven has a wealth of experience in financial risk management space. Based on his contribution, and since then I've been looking forward to have him, around me to learn more from him. And we just got talking yesterday. We said we want to talk for just to test today's platform. And I realized we ended up talking for like an hour, 20 minutes,
Yeah.
1 hour, 20 minutes. And that shows a lot of, experience in that space, a lot of bonding issues that Mr. Steven would like to address, it's not just in Nigeria, but in Africa when it comes to risk management and doing it properly. He's an advocate of ensuring that things are done not just by the books, but ensuring that it's implemented well for the betterment of the organizations, especially financial institutions in Nigeria. So thank you very much, Mr. Stephen, for coming on board to speak to us today. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, BSC team, for having me. It's a pleasure, and I'm actually happy to be here.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Yes, so because of time, we actually have limited time. We are looking at spending 40 minutes. I think 6 minutes is gone already. But yes, we still have enough time to talk about key things that we believe, it will add value to everyone present here today. So we want to look at, how risk management can be a driver of growth or for growth for financial institutions. Many organizations see risk management as compliance thing only, and we've actually, you know, put so many information on LinkedIn about it, trying to let the institutions or the people in charge of risk management and business also know that it's not just about compliance. It's not just about, sending the report to your regulators. There is more to it. So that's what we want to focus on today. And my first question, without taking much time to Mr. Stephen, is basically around how banks can, or financial institutions, and not just financial institutions, businesses generally, align their risk management processes with business goals. You have your goals, you have your objective, you have your strategy. Incorporating risk management is key. So my first question to Mr. Stephen is how does institutions align risk management to their business goals?
Okay, thanks, Michael. That's a very critical one and something that's been subject of debate and discussion in different conferences and fora. And what I like to tell risk practitioners and business leaders is that you actually cannot appreciate what you do not value. So the first step is always to push that value. So what is the value in it? So when you see value in something, it's by natural occurrence, you appreciate it. It's as simple as that. So before we dive into your question, it's important to even have an understanding of what risk is.
Yes.
So what exactly is it by risk? The mere mentioning of risk to so many people, you are speaking of danger, is something that is negative, it's something that is a showstopper, a problem, any situation that is problematic. But in my experience, I've always liked the way the Chinese put it, right? They look at it in terms of danger and opportunity. There's always two sides to a coin, right? And that's why when you look at the financial market, right, be it the financial or the capital markets, that some people are gaining, some are losing. So it's not like, okay, it's a loss. But when you speak to some people, the first thing they'll tell, oh, don't go to that thing or don't touch it, is risky. And once you say risky, oh, there's a negative connotation, right? So we need to first of all get that clear. And just as we look at it in finance, you say that you look at risk in terms of defining in terms of probability of that an actual result will differ from
Mm,
an expected result, right? So when you look at it in terms of that okay, so there's an expectation,
yes.
right? But when you don't meet that expectation, what led to your not meeting that expectation, which is the actual result that you have now, is
Mm,
that risk. So
yeah.
managing that risk effectively is what leads you to achieving that expected result. Now, going
Yes.
back to the question that you asked into how do we now fix this?
Yes.
So there's an expectation, right? You
Mm,
want to increase revenue, you want to grow your income, you want to grow your market share. But there's a sudden perception that there's a stumbling block.
mm,
There's something that is not going to let you get there. And that's the view,
yes.
the way people view, risk management. So we need to have that understanding first. So having defined risk as that probability that the actual results will differ from expected results. Right? We need to now look at, okay, what is risk management itself? So how do we manage this risk. It's not, part of the things that I try to always correct is that it's not a set of people,
Mm.
because that's another thing. Say, oh, these are risk managers. Everybody
Yes.
that is involved, right,
Yes.
is a risk manager. And that's why risk management is always looked at and defined in terms of a process,
Mm.
right? It is not a specific task like that, it's a process. So when you look at risk management, you look at it as a systematic approach,
Mm.
right? That is, an approach that has a lot of things embodied in it, right?
Yes.
And that's why we look at it in terms of a process. So it's a systematic approach to identify first, to assess, and to
Mm-hmm.
mitigate risk, right? That could impact on an organization's ability to achieve those results that you're talking about.
Exactly.
So we look at it in terms of that process of risk management. So how do we identify? How do we
Mm.
assess the risk? How do we mitigate the risk? Right? To be able, because those are the things that will impact that result. So how do
Okay.
we do all that? Now, so having put those context to it, so we understand what risk is, so what the risk management, is. So how do we now match these two together? How do we move from where we are or to where we want to be,
Yeah.
right? So that we'll get there safely. The simple thing I say is just adopting an effective risk management approach. And what
Mm.
do you mean by a risk management approach being effective? It's effective when the structure, when the governance is right. So there's an environment that needs to be created that is
Mm.
welcoming, that allows risk management to flourish. That's why I spoke earlier about the value that you bring to the table. So if
Yes.
there's no value, you don't appreciate something. You put price tag on something that is of value, right? So creating that right environment in being effective, right? Because what we want to put in place is an effective risk management. Now,
Yes.
how can a risk management project be effective? We need to create the right environment, put the
Mm.
right governance in place, the right governance structure in place, put the right
Mm.
organizational structure in place, put the right policies in place, right? In most places, some people argue, oh, we have policies. We have those policies gathering dust. Some people,
Exactly.
if you ask them questions, they don't know what is inside
The policy.
policies that they've
That's
spent
exactly.
so much money, so
Mm.
much time, called consultants to put all those things. They are just gathering dust. They are just there. Some policies have been filed away.
Mm.
Some policies in some organizations, the staff don't even know they exist. Do you understand? So they are just there. So
It's
we need to put the right policies, not just putting any policy, not just
the right.
writing policies for the sake of it. Sometimes when you take some policies in some places and you read the headline, the title, when you flip in and you start reading the content, you start asking yourself again that, oh, am I reading correctly? Is it the same? Is it the same? Is it the same thing that I'm reading? Is the content
Mm.
matching the title of that document? So we need to ensure that the right policies and the right system is also very
Yes.
important, right?
Okay.
The right system is in place, and we have the right people that have been trained, right, to also be in place. So when we have all this working together, then we'll say that, okay, we have put an effective risk management process in place.
Please.
Now, what are
Great.
the advantages to the business, right?
Mm.
What are the advantages? What are the benefits to the business? So we talked in terms of having informed decision,
Yeah.
having to be able to make informed decision. The only
Yes.
reason that will make a business executive to think of, oh, we need to close this branch, we need to open this branch, we need to go into this kind of business, we need to go
Mm.
into it's just because of an appreciation of risk,
Yeah.
and being able to manage it. So
Mm.
it helps us with taking informed decision. It helps us with being effective in resource allocation.
Mm.
You understand? So that's how we will know that, okay, so should I maximize, should I minimize my cost to be able to maximize my return? How do I allocate these scarce resources? How do we allocate it effectively? It
Yeah.
helps us to prioritize initiatives.
Mm.
So it's not every project that we need to do. But when we understand that the risk that is embedded in it and we've been able to manage it, and don't also forget that In managing those risks, there are different approaches. Some people are risk lovers, so they take risk
Yeah.
naturally.
Risk
So
aversion.
there's that risk acceptance.
Yes.
Some is the risk aversion. There's
Mm-hmm.
risk mitigation. There's risk transfer. Do you understand? So
Mm.
so you must be able to identify. Okay, so where are you? Where do you place yourself? And those are the things that will determine your risk appetite. What's level of risk? How much of risk can you take as an
Eh,
organization? You know,
Yes.
so we will now align this objective properly. Then we'll be able to get to that end point of maximizing revenue, your return, increasing your market share, and what have you. Right. So
Great.
we need to be able to put all those things together to achieve that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I
Well,
don't know. I've been able to. I want to check with Toledo. I hope this session is being recorded. I was able to grab so many things around, the strategy and the importance of having risk management in place. And one of the key things you mentioned that resonates with me very well is around the governance, creating,
yeah,
governance around the policy, having the proper policy governance in place. And you also mentioned creating an environment,
the
enabling
environment
environment.
and enabling environment is very
Exactly.
critical.
Very, very critical. And the people itself, because I
Yeah,
think that's part of the discussion I was having with you yesterday around people having the knowledge itself.
yeah.
Because we've seen, top management people that don't even know about risk management. How can you lead without knowing the risk associated to your business? And it's very, very important that not, as you also mentioned, that it's not just people that work within risk that should have the knowledge of risk management.
It's an
Even
all-encompassing. That's why it's a process. It's not
marketing,
some people.
marketers,
Yeah,
yeah, they should, because they're the one bringing in the
that's where it
business.
originates.
Exactly. Loan origination starts from the branch.
Yeah,
If you don't understand the business, sorry, the risk
the risk
associated to the
with
loan
that business.
that you are
Yeah,
giving to the customer, how will you be able to know the data that you need to actually collect? And don't let me go into the nitty-gritty of that. So my next
the
question,
impression is always
yes,
like there are some people,
mm,
that is their job.
exactly.
But it's just like, let me, before you move on, let me use another illustration that I always is like, every one of us in Nigeria, we
Yes,
like, if there's a game that's very prominent, that's football.
yes.
So I'm always an advocate of the fact that I don't always blame the goalkeeper.
Mm,
I don't.
mhm,
I don't always. In fact, that's the most unappreciated task on the
yeah,
field.
mm.
When the goalkeeper is hit like 5 times or 6 times, oh, that goalkeeper is a basket. Oh, he's useless. Oh, he cannot. But I ask a question. There are 11 people on the pitch.
How did he get to the keeper in the
How
first
did the ball get to the keeper in the first place? So if everybody was doing what they're meant to do,
mm,
right? Then by the time it's get, and that's why you find out that in some games you find some teams, they say they are very brilliant, they are so good and all of that. Their keeper is always virtually all through the 90 minutes. They are on holiday.
exactly. They don't get to do
They
anything
don't get to do anything. They don't get the ball. They don't get any risk does not get to them. They are just there because the other 10 players are doing what they are supposed to do.
to do. Hmm. Thank you. That analogy is very, very great. Thank you. So my next question is around compliance. Compliance comes with cost, and
Yeah.
I've seen in my experience that quite a number of organizations in the developing countries they don't really want to invest in risk management because they believe that it's just something that has to do with compliance. There is no return on that area for them, and it comes with cost as well. So, because of that, they want to actually neglect risk management and not invest in it because they believe there is no return. We just generate the report, send it to CBN or whatever regulator, and that's it. What are we getting from it? So, understanding that compliance comes at a cost to organization, How can institutions turn that into a competitive advantage in the sense that I'm investing in, yes, it comes at a cost. How do they derive benefit from it?
Okay, thanks. I mentioned earlier on, I spoke about something being of value,
Hmm.
and you'll be able to appreciate it, and you'll be able to invest in it. And there's also in finance, you look at cost benefit analysis,
Yes.
right? Now, with the events that happened since the financial crisis,
Yes.
the 2007 to 2009 and post, it will only be foolhardy
Hmm.
for anyone to still think that the job of risk management or the process of risk management is just a tick box, it's just a compliance thing
Yes.
that is of no relevance. Because see, we've seen over and over.
Hmm.
I was speaking with you yesterday, and I said sometimes when you look at it, it's a thankless job.
Yes.
Because this thing has over happened over and over and over and over and over again. We have seen fall of great institutions, and at the end of it all, when they did all the analysis, all the expressions and everything, so it was due to failure of
Hmm.
risk management.
Hmm.
And this organization failed to comply with risk management, failed to do that, failed to do is everything is always on risk. So
It's
how will
not.
you so I asked, so most times when I go through all this and I ask myself, okay, so when you say something is not important, why are you blaming an unimportant thing?
Have you?
Or why? I mean, if it's not, you don't even shouldn't even go there in the first place,
Exactly.
right? So should we now say, we should stop being compliant? No.
Hmm.
Will compliance stop? No.
No.
We are even in a highly regulated business space. In fact, regulations are increasing day by day,
Yes.
right? And that's why you find different, international organizations coming up with different standards here and there. Basel is this, every time there's, you migrate Basel 1, Basel 2, Basel 3, Basel 4, 5. We are moving on because things are changing.
Changing. Hmm.
A lot of things have changed. Today, people are talking about climate risk. In years past, nobody was talking. There was a time, the whole thing was cybersecurity, everything about that. There was different things. So won't there be need for compliance? There definitely going to be need for compliance,
Yes.
right? So now with that, and understanding that compliance is an issue that has come to stay.
Hmm.
Whether we like it or not, we're in a regulated business environment. We have to comply.
Yeah.
So, and there will be more and more to
Yes.
comply. Now, for an organization, what should an organization do to edge out competition?
Hmm.
Mature your risk management process. And by maturing it, what do I mean? It still boils down to making that process being effective, ensuring that the right standards are put in place, that your risk management practices are not just at the basic level,
Yes. Yeah.
right? That they are not, that you are transparent in your
Hmm.
risk approach, right? And you have been proactive. It's only a risk management person a risk leader or a business leader that is proactive that will talk about risk maturity, risk
Yeah.
management
Hmm.
practice that is mature. So
True.
things don't just meet you by accident. Things you don't. There were businesses that never survived the 2007 financial crisis.
Of course. Yeah.
There are
Northern Rock.
businesses that there are
Lehman
businesses
Brothers.
Lehman Brothers exactly. There are businesses that didn't survive COVID
Yeah.
pandemic.
Of course.
There were people that yes, they may not have seen well ahead that there's going to be pandemic, but they put their houses in order, right? And when pandemic came, because they had disaster management
Hmm.
practice, they had what's it called? Adverse results they put their houses in order.
Hmm.
And yes, they could be hit when COVID came, but they were not they were not in extinction.
Hmm.
But there
True.
were a lot of businesses that could not survive it.
Yeah.
So when your risk management is matured, you are not even in any match with competition. You are well ahead of
Hmm.
competition, and
Great.
you are there to regulatory compliance. Now,
Yes.
businesses that meet all of these points, having that maturity in place, having that being proactive, being compliant, they are they seize opportunities quite easily.
Yeah.
They're always at the forefront
Yeah.
of. They're always the market leaders,
Hmm.
while others. So that's something to encourage anyone to invest in risk management, to invest in compliance, in those
Hmm.
getting those the right tools, the right systems, the right process, the right policies, in place. And it also helps to mitigate liabilities,
Yes.
penalties, fines. You know how many Nigerian banks
Exactly.
were fined because AML and
Yeah.
non-compliance,
Hmm.
and internationally too. I was reading recently three executives of I can't remember the name of the institution right now.
Society, no, not Society General. No, what's the name? Yeah, they
Fine,
had
there
it
were three,
three
yeah,
of them. Yeah,
that they cannot even practice
anymore.
banking again in their life.
Yes.
So would you want to just stay and say, oh, because there's so much high cost, you want to jump? There's a lot to
Hmm.
lose,
There is a lot.
right? So, and that's the thing. So you invest to keep ahead of that competition, be able to seize opportunity. It
Yes.
strengthens the stakeholders' trust.
Hmm.
Customers want to do transaction with organizations that
That's
they can trust.
exactly. That's where if you are not compliant, who wants
And
to
if you're
do it?
not compliant, who wants to touch you? Who wants to come near
Exactly.
you?
Hmm.
Who wants, you'll be like treated like a leper. Nobody wants to come near you.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
enhances your reputation and your credibility out there.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
understand? And even
Yes.
internationally, you are viewed differently.
Thank you.
There are transactions that there are transactions that you find out that you find that today in trade transactions, there are some organizations that may mentioning them, right? When they issue your letter of credit, it goes. There are some organizations that once they issue your letter of credit, you see the correspondent bank asking, "No, go and do confirmation. No. We want it to be confirmed. We want it to be." You find the first confirming bank, you find another confirming bank, you find all sort of layers of why. It's trust,
Hmm.
credibility. Do you
Hmm.
understand? Because they know you.
Hmm. Wow.
Do you understand? I mean, it's a no-brainer.
It's quite straightforward, and
Yeah,
it's another thing I want to also add is around, just based on what you last mentioned, is around implementation of all these regulations, and being compliant is very important,
yeah,
because if you are not even implementing the common regulations that is implemented across the board globally, how would you earn the trust of foreign investors to come and do business with you?
exactly,
That
exactly.
comes to the fact that Nigeria, we like 3 years ago, we started implementing Basel 3 that came out in 2010. We are not even talking about Basel 4 at the
That's a
moment.
four.
And South Africa is starting the implementation 1st of July. UK next year, because of Brexit and all that, they
Yeah,
delayed it for 1 year. America has implemented it. Other European countries are at the verge of implementing Basel 4.
that's a
But
four. Yeah.
guidelines is not even yet out from CBN. There is no direction on implementation of Basel 4. We always delay implementation, and it has a ripple effect on the institutions that operate in Nigeria. I think that's another topic for another
Yeah,
day.
and that is another topic for another day, really. And that's why you find out that so we go out there, we say we are sourcing for funds in the international market. We
Hmm.
go out there, we say, okay, we want to renew our correspondent banking relationship, and those guys will not be looking at us like, where are these people from? Who are these? Who are these people? So you expect me to plug my system into yours
Hmm.
when you are so far back,
Hmm.
you know? And we just need to do a lot better. And as you said, that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you so much so far, Mr. Stephen Orelua. Do we have questions? I think before I go into my last question, maybe if do you have any question raised in the chat so far, so that we just take one or two. Okay, while we are waiting for Rilu, I think I have another question before the
Okay.
last one that I have on my screen actually. Um, I noticed that many people, especially the young, graduates, they are not really going into risk management as a career or a profession. It's always like very few people that goes into that space. The good ones, in quotes. Let me put it that way. When it comes to finance, risk management, they always pick the best from the graduate class or maybe their whatever class that they used to train them before they start working for the bank. Um, from your experience, please, it will be good because we are starting a program soon, and I'm sure a couple of our students are on the call. What we are trying to do is to build resources, build people that have the knowledge of risk management. We want more people to be involved in risk management, basically. It's not something that is well taught as part of our curriculum in tertiary institutions in Nigeria. And I'm not just saying Nigeria is globally because this session is generally for everyone, but just to encourage people to actually go into this space because it is very important. We are not just trying to generate the reports because we want to be compliant. It's also to generate these reports for management information purpose, as you mentioned, so that they can be able to know where they need to put their resources, the business lines that they need to stop, or the ones that they need to pump more capital into it because of the profit or because the business is profitable. So, looking at it from that angle, based on your experience, I really want you to, speak to us about the importance of risk management or the benefit of being a risk manager at a very young age when you just finished your graduated from school. What can you say are the good things, career wise, or the benefits that being a risk manager would apply to your career or you benefit from career perspective?
Okay, thanks, Michael. I said earlier on that it's
Yes.
it's a thankless job, but I define it as that. But again, from my initial um, approach to risk, yeah, I mentioned the Chinese definition of risk that it's they say it in terms they define it in terms of danger and opportunity.
Opportunity, yes.
So the the perspective that I have, and since you said you want my perspective, you want from my
Yes.
experience, I
Yes.
look at it from the opportunity that
Mm,
risk brings to the environment, the table, and as you rightly said, in if you look at Nigeria, it's not taught. I'm not sure there's any school that has a curriculum that
okay.
says maybe BSc
Financial risk
in risk
management.
or so. And when you say risk management, what you also find, even when it's being discussed, is financial risk management.
Mm,
It
mm,
goes beyond that.
that's
I
true.
remember when I was to get into the university, and so I was caught up between three options: accounting, economics, actually two,
Okay.
accounting and economics. And I said to myself that, oh, accounting, I've done, bookkeeping, basic accounting, I've done all of those and everything. And it's very, historical, put figures together. I'm not belittling what accountants do. I mean,
Yes.
it's a great profession. I mean, great
Mhm.
profession, very, lucrative and all of that. But so I just looked at it and I was like, so me now, I looked at it, so it's reporting, there are a lot of financial reporting. It's still like the steward. And I had a lecturer that was always, I'm a teacher then in secondary, is a steward, stewardship and everything. I'm like, so that sends a wrong vibe.
Yes.
Still worships. I'm just reporting something that has been done. So it's past tense, is in the past and all of that. So I said, okay, good. I looked at economics, vast, research based and all of that. So if I do this one now, does that mean that I have to do PhD? Does that mean that I have to get all the way? All I'll be doing is research and I have to be a lecturer, all those kind of things. I have to be economic research and everything. So along the line, and I saw something that's talked about financial economics,
Okay.
you know, and I could see that okay, there's a connection. So
Mhm.
okay, so if I'm very quantitative and I'm sort of economically vast, I should be able to, come up with something. So along in my, research, I now stumbled on finance.
Hmm.
So I was like, oh, this is great. So this sort of gives me what I want because it presents me something that is futuristic, a
Hmm.
mind that allows me to be analytical, allows me to take decision based on all that this other two would give to me. So I decided to go into finance.
Great.
But guess what? So I finished from University of Lagos. When I
Okay.
got to the university, I realized that it was only University of Lagos that calls that discipline finance.
Hmm.
Every other school that was practicing it calls it banking and finance.
Yeah.
So the moment you say finance, because I had that challenge too when I started, I was telling you yesterday that initially I didn't really, I mean, anyone that is listening to this will be like, okay, so I've never said it. I think I mentioned it to you yesterday. I didn't want to do banking. All I wanted was consulting
Yeah.
from the word go. But everywhere, every touch point is always, oh, you. And then again, before I even started my first job at all, I was already qualified as a chartered banker. I'd already got my ACIB because I got
Hmm.
that as I was leaving school. So it was like, and I was doing, the ICANN or two at that period. So it was like, oh, you will soon resign. Banking is lucrative. You go to banking, you will just create recruitment problem for us 1 year after we start recruiting. And I'm like, see, I'm a finance guy.
Avi.
It's not banking it's not banking, it's finance. There are a whole lot of things inside.
Go
Nobody wanted
beyond.
to listen to you.
Hmm.
Do you understand? So it's the same way. So when you talk risk, people are very quick to say, oh, financial risk. That's an aspect of it.
Yes.
There's risk management in engineering, there's risk
Hmm.
management in healthcare, there's risk
Hmm.
management in oil and gas, there's risk management. So in all those, you talk about health and safety. What do
Yeah.
you think people are talking about? Risk
Hmm.
management. There's risk management in healthcare. There's risk management every endeavor of life.
As,
In government, there's risk management.
hmm. Hmm.
Do you understand? So when you now say, oh, you now want to, so there is a vast discipline. It depends on where you want to function. So that's one good thing that I take out of it. For me, I will encourage anybody. It's a very vast, discipline.
Great. Great.
And so there's in everything in research, there's risk management in it. And why do you think people talk about market risk?
Hmm.
People talk about credit risk. People talk about operational risk,
Hmm.
strategic risk. People talk about cyber risk.
Yes. Hmm.
There's so it's a vast
Con-
discipline.
Concentration risk.
Concentration risk. You just need to liquidity risk.
Liquidity risk.
So
Interest rate
it's
risk.
interest rate risk. Life that we're even as we are speaking, there's risk.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it's vast. So my encouragement is that it's a very vast
Base.
discipline space
Okay.
that you can explore.
Hmm.
And there are great potential. What delights me every time is that when I see the organizations that I work in or with, and they are making giant strides. They are making, very high return on investments.
Yeah.
They are doing very remarkable thing because risk management have been well
Embedded
done,
in the process.
embedded in their process and aligned with the business objectives.
Hmm.
Those are things that delight me. And I would say it's rewarding,
Great. Thank you.
right?
Thank you very much. Yes, we have a question from Jacob. So how can risk management help the business better see the risk? It is often easy to see revenue, yes, but risk can be much more abstract. what are the good methods to work with in this area?
See, revenue, yes, easy to see because that is what is projected,
Exactly.
right? So risk, how do you, it even starts from the those that practice risk management itself. I said something earlier on that is a process. Yes, in that process, we have different roles. So you have those that are, okay, yes, you are in the risk management department, you are the risk manager yourself. And in every discussion, every conversation, at least what brought you and I together was that there was visibility, there
Yes.
was connection, contribution. You write about something. I'm not just saying I agree
Yes.
or thumbs up. I'm giving a perspective.
To it.
Anytime I give that, you come back say, oh, I didn't see this angle to it.
Mm.
Oh, and we engage based on that.
Mm.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's not being, so what is being voiced out a lot more, what is being projected is what is seen.
Mm.
So we also need to do a whole lot more advocacy, awareness, let people also know.
Mm.
Do you understand? You don't go to a meeting and you are there in the room. So we talk a whole lot about having a seat on the top. Oh yes, so as risk management, they've created for us seats in the C-suite. How visible are we?
Mm.
When they're talking about business strategy, what is the contribution? You understand? When conversations are being held on the objectives of the organization, the goals, and they are being listed up, how visible is the
Yes.
risk representation
Mm.
in there? So those are the things to first address. And when we do that, then so is what you, again, it goes to value. What you place value on is what you will project. If
Yeah.
you're ashamed of something, so is this someone else that will come and say, oh yeah, these guys are doing well? Nobody will come and do that. You just have to do that
Exactly.
yourself and bring out the value in every of the organization's businesses, and that's why we talk about aligning it to those corporate goals and objectives.
Yeah. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Uh, so, Olukayode, how best do we balance risk and reward when making risk management a business driver?
It's everything we've been speaking about.
Exactly. In fact, I have another one here from Chineye. Chineye also says, how can organizations transform risk management from a defensive compliance function into a proactive strategic enabler that drives innovation, resilience, and competitive advantage?
I think we talked about the competitive advantage, having a competitive edge earlier on when I spoke about
Yeah,
having a matured, risk management
the
practice,
process in place. Yes.
right? So it's not, I've always, it's never my idea that risk management is a defensive or function or just a compliance tick box. No, I will never agree with anyone on that because I'm at the forefront. I
Mm,
lead every conversation. I
mm,
lead every engagement. So I'm not sitting back. As a credit officer, I'm not sitting back in my office and saying, oh, the business guys are on the field. They should come back with all the documents. No, I want to get to see the customer. I want to make credit calls. Johnson, I want to be on the field. I want to also get there. Oh, yeah. They say, oh, when you get too much on the field, you are fraternizing with the front office. You are going to get you are conniving or whatever. You know those. I say, no, 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 no. I'm collaborating. Let's
exactly.
start
That's the
changing
one.
vocabulary. And it's a
Collaboration.
collaboration.
Mm,
And see, if you look at, if we're taking the bank as an example, as our example, right? So
yes.
if you look at the financial statement of a bank and you look at the asset side,
Yes.
the core asset that you find on any financial institution is risk assets.
Of course.
So
Yes.
if more than 70% of your assets
Mm.
comprises of your risk asset, doesn't that thing that calls for that 78, doesn't it demand an attention?
Of course, it
So
does.
what other thing do you need? It's simple now. Just let all those loans go bad. Just take it out and see what will become of the entity.
Mm.
We spoke about compliance earlier on. Let central banks slam you billions
Yes.
in penalties and see if the organization still exists.
Mm.
I'm sure the first thing that will happen is there will be a serious run on whatever organization. It's
Exactly.
just, and let there be one bad report out there. I trust my
Mm.
Nigerian people. The following morning, in fact, that midnight,
They're withdrawing
even
their
even
money.
the even the person that has 1,000 naira will be inside that bank. Do you understand? They start withdrawing their money. So how much more do you want to? What more do we want to say?
Yeah.
It
And
calls for that attention.
it's of course. And also just to add, I think we spoke about this before, and it's even all over in the news during that time. If you Google it, you will see a strategic uh, initiative from HSBC. Even while I've left there, when I was there around 2014, 2015, to bring down their RWA, risk weighted asset, down by, let's say, 4 to 5 billion. And the intention was to use that to close some of the business lines that are
The
not
business
functioning.
office, yes,
And
yes,
that to me is a strategic action. It's a
yeah.
strategic initiative from the bank, from risk management
They must have
perspective.
done an appreciation of their risk and looked at
Exactly.
it that, and that's why I said earlier on that it helps you to take informed decision.
Decision.
It helps
That's the
you it
key word
helps
there.
you to look at your resource optimization of your resources and the allocation. Where do we have to put our scarce resources are scarce, so maybe people don't
Yeah,
know. And
exactly.
organization have to take that decision about that. We need to optimize it and
Yes,
allocate it efficiently.
yes, yes. It is
And
very important.
organizations and those are the things. It's risk management that help organizations to take those decisions.
Hmm. Okay. Within which risk type do you see the largest challenges and the gaps in general? Is there some form of regulation you feel is missing?
Which risk area do I see challenging? All the risk areas are important.
Yes.
All. Without am I going to? It depends on the industry.
Yes.
So if I'm in the financial
Then this
industry,
is,
that'll be the bulk of the risk I'll be looking at will be credit risk.
of course.
If
Yes.
I move into engineering, healthcare, and all those I'll be looking more at operational
The risk.
risk, right? Because I mean, it should be except if they are having receivables that are not translating to cash, that will be saying, okay, maybe we should also have some maybe 5 or 10%.
Mm.
It won't even be up to 10%, except if that hospital is already ready to fold up. That will be like, okay, so let's look at that. So it depends on
Mm.
each different risk area looks at it. But again, if to address this question, I think people need to start looking a lot more at reputational risk,
Mm.
you know, and because the reputation you cannot leave and say you don't care about what
Mm.
I would want to mention some recent things saga that happened in Nigeria. I'm not going to mention. I mean, you understand that every Nigerian that is listening also understands that. You may think, oh, no, it's nothing. I mean, and it's a great institution, by the way.
Mm.
But when you look at it, you may say, oh yeah, I mean, it's nothing. But see, repetition is key
Key. Yeah.
and it matters a lot. So we have to start, looking at, and it's also part of why, as we said, that it also points to how international organizations also view you, how they relate with you, how they look at you. So risk is emerging. You know, they are different. It's so the environment is so dynamic. So I can't say, okay, this is what they do know that COVID will happen when it happens.
No, no.
But
Got to be
if
prepared.
before then, if they said that, oh, it will be possible that we'll be having conversation like this, we'll be having seminars like this, would we say
Mm,
yes? We say, oh
true.
no, it's not. Why are you talking
It
like
has to
this?
be
It can't be.
physical.
It has to be physical, right? But we are doing it from, I mean, and if people need, it's like it's three continents connected in this
Yeah.
this what we are doing now. Three continents, at least that I know. I've seen
Yes.
some guys from Europe. I've seen on the charts and every, people can do. Are we going to bring everybody into a room and start
Mm.
having so things are changing. So it's for us to be able to stay in touch and in tune. And they are talking about climate risk now. Some
Yes.
people are still living in denial.
It has its own impact, whether we
Yeah,
like
it
it or
has its own impact, whether we like it or not.
not. Mm.
So that will be my approach to that, and that will be my response.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think we should take the last question, and that would be it, so that Melody doesn't think I'm ignoring her.
Okay.
So, as
Shout
the
out to
risk,
Melody, by the way. She's also been very active and she keeps in
yeah,
touch with me.
great. As the risk management landscape evolves, what should institutions be doing, sorry, now to future proof their approach? What should
I'll say put your house in order.
exactly do the basics? Do the needful.
Do the needful. You can never get it wrong.
Exactly.
You can
Yeah.
never. We spoke about it being costly. It could be. If you need the right tool, put it in place.
Yeah.
Train your people.
Mm.
Organizations would. There was a time there was that conversation around that. Should we train people? If you train them and they resign, or should we? Oh yeah, you continue to have capital risk.
Mm.
They, you train them, they go. You don't train them, they are just there. So
Exactly.
which one is better?
Mm.
So you continue to. So you put your house in order. Put the right systems in place. Put the right people in place. Put the governance. Let it be,
Great.
and do what is needful.
Mm.
That's the only
I
way you
think.
can be caught napping.
Oh, the question just came in. Basel credit risk models look up to RWA. Banks want to lower RWA amount for advanced IRB. Does the USA SICA model look up to RWA number? Yes,
Yes, me.
but
I don't know. I don't know which who want to. You want to lower your RRA. I mean
WA.
RWA
Yeah,
no amount number. They are. It's methodological.
yes. It depends on
You
what you
can't
want to
just
achieve.
you can't just go there and manipulate something. There's a method to it,
Yes,
and you
yes.
have to. So if you are not compliant, then you
Hmm.
are doing something adverse,
Advice, yes.
and there are consequences for it.
Course, of course. And also, a lot of banks actually use advanced IRB, internal rating
Yeah,
based approach, to reduce their RWA, to reduce their risk weight, in the sense that they are allowed to use their own methodologies to calculate their risk weight. They model their own PD, their own LGD, CCF, IU,
but
and so on.
again, it's also more validated. You
Oh,
don't
yes,
just
it's actually validated.
you don't just that's what I
No,
meant by
not at
you
all.
don't just wake up and say,
No.
oh, you've advanced to IRB and that's what you want to
Yes.
use your own. You have the right data that you want to
Yes.
use within your establishment, and you just say, oh yes, you want to go by your own formula. You want to go by
No.
because the end point is that you want to reduce the RWA amount. No, there is a
No.
method to it.
Exactly. And you even need approval from the regulators, as you
That's
said.
why I spoke about that it has to be.
Exactly. And also, just to add, the as part of Basel 4 is changing now, a lot of exposures will no longer be reported under advanced IRB.
Advanced RB.
the approach. So that we address, all the stuff that banks internally try to do to bring down their risk weight. That's going away. A lot of exposures like institutions, part of corporates, will now be reported under foundation and standardized approach, which
Wow.
is which is key. That will enable banks to be able, so investors will be able to compare their RWAs of different banks. Because if a bank is using advanced
Yeah,
IRB,
advanced RB, and one is using standardized
thank you.
approach.
How will you
Yeah.
be able to compare the RWA? So to answer your question, that's part of Basel 4. Basel 4 is aligning RWA calculations so that just to bring in comparability of the parameter. Okay, thank you very much. That's a good question. And we have just 4 more minutes. I thought it's 40 minutes that we're going to use. So thank you very, very much for taking our time to speak to us today. I have learned a lot. I have my pen with me. I've wrote something down. And I hope Orelua recorded this session, or else we'll fight. I need to go back to it and still, learn from what we have discussed. And to
Yeah.
everyone, thank you so much for your contribution. It's Friday evening. Thanks for taking time out to join us live. See you in the next live session. Any parting shot from you? Words from you?
I'll say keep on doing the right thing.
Great.
And that's what I always advise. Keep on doing the right thing. It may be costly, it may be challenging, but we'll always keep on doing what is right, acceptable, and that's the only sure way.
And that's what risk management is all
And
about.
that's what risk management is all
Right.
about.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you
Have a
so much for
wonderful
having me.
weekend.
Same here. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.